Hi kids, Jake Breaker here, and let's break it down. A new operating system won't improve without a higher advancement of data, a faster movement of more information is essential to a new operating guide. A new operating system. So let's just examine communication systems and communication in general. So human communication among more than a group within vocal range drums. Drums came in, pound that hollow log, you could hear it for a mile maybe. That's a lot better than the, maybe 100 feet. Hey! 200, 300 feet. But a mile, incredible, incredible. And that was basically, a series of beats would indicate a image or a preconceived idea of what was going from the drummer versus the listener. Those things had to be encoded and decoded. Encoding, decoding. Big time stuff in computers. So speaking of computers, they would take 4 bits, and in that 4 bits, they could create a character. So the character, many characters equal many words, and so on and so on. Well, they increased the speed of the processors, and the delays, remove the delays from input to the processor, speeding up the clock maybe, or just the advancement of the electronics themselves. I digress. Oh yeah, drummers, encoding, decoding. Well, that happens because you're sending out one beat in the time it takes to reverberate, versus computers sending out one letter in 100th, 1,000th of a blink of an eye. Well, speeding up, communication within a computer. If you go from 4 bits to 16 bits, which, that was a big leap in the day, back in the 70s. And now we have, 64 bits. And what gets relayed there is beyond just a word. It could be a full sentence. It's moving fast. As I was pondering communication systems, it's how the impact of one voice makes into the world. Anyway, it dawned on me that, being the musician, being music, I take that perspective. And when you have a solo performer, say just a solo performer with an acoustic guitar sitting on a stage. No amplification. Think about in the park, one guy in a gazebo. Of course, they amplify the heck out of them now, but, just one minstrel in the old days. He could play, if he was outside, he could play to maybe, 20 people would actually be able to fully hear at a nice level what was taking place. If you put him in a hall or put a shell that's made to bring those frequencies forward, just because of the way that reverberation works, he could play to maybe 50 people be able to hear him. But as we have progressed, you put a microphone on him and the guitar, and you can take that as far as you want in loudness and could literally cover 100,000 people. That one minstrel being able to reach 100,000 people in the moment. The moment is so important. And now, through this great medium, we can video and audio record that one performer. And I say record, but it's not even recorded. You record as a backup for a live performance. Through this vehicle, it is possible to put up a live performance that transmits to millions, if not billions, now that's communication. But that's just what we have now. So what happens with the new operating system? Instead of passing words, we can pass through, you have to understand, individual references will make a difference to some degree in advanced communication. If that person has never experienced or has no awareness of a concept that's being brought forward, they won't receive it, even though it's right in front of them. Such is life. It's not by a choice of theirs. It is just the way progression works. There are those at the front, and there are those at the back. If you were to keep that model and go across a bridge that is failing, at some point in that line, from the advanced to those left behind, at some point, there's going to be a break. Those lagging will not make it across that failing bridge. Evolution. I don't know how you can call it anything other than evolution. It's not always about what we did. I think it's often about what we didn't do. So, anyway, with this vehicle of communication that we have, and the experience we've had over the past 50 years of how amplification has impacted the way that we can hear music and the cinematographic portion. We've gone from black and white TVs to ultra 4K, 6K, 8K. It's just, it's water clear. I mean, it's beyond film. Of course, it doesn't have the warmth of film. That's why I transmit this to you in 24 frames is my master. It has that cinematographic property. I don't know. I don't see it. It might soften the edges. And that's always good. Softening edges. Much easier to hold. And maybe that's... I digress. So the ability... encoding, decoding. So what's a limit on this instantaneous communication going to billions? Where is the snafu there? What drags that down? What limits the amount of the billions that can actually understand, not just receive, not being able to only hear and see it, but actually understand it? And that's where we get to language. That's where the words come in. And that bogs everything down. Lower frequency processing that slows everything down. We understand that a picture is worth 1,000 words. I mean, understanding that and actually having heard it, one picture's worth 1,000 words. It's true. And what makes that 1,000 words is as you view an image, without a reference, without a focal point, which is, the focal point is always in the center. That's why I don't sit way over there, because the focal point is in the center of the framing. As you scan a picture, you will first go to that center point of focus of the image, and from there, your eye will start to circle that outward until it takes in the whole picture. Well, as you're scanning, you're actually describing to yourself what is in front of you. Yeah, so you put it into words internally, but the item you move to next has a name, tree. I don't know where the tree is because I haven't set the background yet. Stacking up each item that we visualize with a name tagging everything, takes time. There's where, agreement of a full picture of 1,000 words or more, the agreement of what the image and the sound together impact which is very much for an individual, an experience. Search memory banks briefly and review an impactful moment. Doesn't matter, good, bad, whatever, but impactful. And I think as you recall that, if you bring the body memory into that, that is feelings, emotions, body, feelings, emotions, you'll find that you'll have a picture there that has emotional content that makes it a very real memory. I mean, it is set within our system. So, I don't know about, I can't say it would be proper to erase memory. I don't think that's even, I don't know. It's easier to forget things that casually happened, but it's more difficult to erase, forget, an experience. An experience is all encompassing. It wraps us in a 3D, ultra 4K, 10,000 watt audio. I mean, rock and roll. So communications all boil down to if there was nothing to say, why would it get amplified this much? A rock and roll, a live music experience impacts the audience, no matter how large, virtually at the same time. That used to be difficult because they'd put the speakers up front and just overpower, so everybody in the front X number of rows would go home with ringing ears. And the ones in the mid back would go, oh man, that sounded so good. And the ones in the top rows were going, man, there was so much echo, I couldn't take care of it. So what they do is stage speakers along the way, and with digital technology, they can place the delays. So over this long distance, which audio has a tendency to fall short because, it loses air. Yeah, loses air. Now we can stack these speakers out and make it so everybody in all the rows hears, and there's no echo virtually, except what they put into the, the lead singer's mics. Echo, 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 echo. It's a marvelous world we have here. Oh, I always forget this is about operating systems. I just think this is about life and how things are made, how things work. That's what it's about for me, how things work. And then how can How is it possible things get advanced to work better? So, one way is by making larger bits of information more instantaneous, I guess. That's what's happening. Oh, the most important part of communication is understanding that there's a sender and a receiver. The sender moves information towards the receiver. The receiver receives the information, digests that information, and what does it do with it? It tells the ones that weren't involved with it. It moves along. Information, stagnant, has little value. I mean, it's good for me. I've got this information. And unless I'm building something that could be distributed for gain, and for me, the made man, I think profit's not a motive. It's the message that's the motive. So when a rock band playing in front of 100,000 people put out a message that is in 3-4 part harmony, melded with the notes that are behind it, the instruments that are behind it, that tickle our body and stimulate the mind to greater image, more dimensional image of what the artist is relaying. That creates an experience which all of those involved hold as an incredibly vivid image. Experience. Experience is the key word. So possibly if we go from image, which is this video platform with me, with audio, it's not 4K. I can't afford that stuff. What's the point with YouTube? Anyway, the difference between a basic image and a full experiential image are the emotions. Yeah, are the emotions. The emotional part of that. That sets up the dimensional memory and the amount of impact. So, a non-technical delve into communication, advancement of the new operating system, upgrading language from words to an experience. Relaying an experience. To millions and millions. Whew. And it not take years. It's an amazing world we're in. My world is truly amazing. And I'm so grateful.